Most beginner bike lists are garbage because they either choose bikes that are too weak and you're gonna outgrow them fast, or they pick bikes that are way too much for beginners, and we're going to fix that in today's video. And we're gonna be looking at dirt bikes, we're gonna be looking at adventure bikes, sport bikes, cruisers, and touring bikes. So let's go ahead and jump into the first one. We're gonna be looking at dirt bikes. What do you have?
I'm assuming that this is gonna be someone's first time on a dirt bike, okay?
Right.
So maybe you have a little bit of experience on the street, but you wanna go right into the dirt. I do recommend the Honda CRF 125. The newer models are all gonna be electric start, so that's gonna help you out a lot. Secondly, it is a fairly small bike, but not so small that you're gonna be gangly on it. What's gonna happen though is that you're gonna very quickly realize your skill level as you whip around a small dirt bike. It's gonna be small enough for the average person that it's not intimidating, but also large enough that as you grow in your skill set, you will be able to fully utilize the suspension, the braking, power, all those sorts of things. So it's a great middle of the road, entry-level bike that if you pick one up and you decide to get a little bit more into dirt biking, you could even keep this around for your kid in a few years or use it as a pit bike, those sorts of things. But it's a great dirt bike for you to get started. It's not gonna be a 250, 450 or something like that that's gonna completely overwhelm you with power. Small, light, makes enough power without it being too much to put you in any sort of trouble.
It's also a Honda, which is just, you want reliability, especially when you're starting out as a beginner, especially if you're buying a used CRF 125, like you want to get something that it's not going to fail you out in the road.
Yeah, and that's what's good about these is you're going to very quickly realize what a good used one looks like. There's some out there that are beat to heck. You can typically tell. You can tell when fork seals are blown, when sprockets have never been changed, when dirt tires have been rubbed raw because somebody's ripped around on the pavement. That's not the one you want. You want to find one in good use condition. You want to buy it from a seller that after speaking with them for 5 to 10 minutes, you can tell they're not just some fly-by-night sort of guy who's just out there just to sell a motorcycle. You want to be able to find an enthusiast who's selling this, and that's going to give you some insurance in terms of its future reliability because you bought it from someone who cared about the bike and is going to sell it to someone who also cares about the bike.
Yeah, and as somebody who is a beginner on bikes, something that's not often talked about frequently is seat riding height.
Yeah.
And it's nice that it's a little bit smaller because somebody who may not know their way around a motorcycle at all, who hasn't ridden even on the street, they're gonna feel a little bit more comfortable being able to have their feet planted. I'm 5'9". I don't want a super tall bike where I'm on my tippy toes trying to figure out how to ride a dirt trailer or anything like that.
That is going to instill a lot of confidence when you can sit on a bike and flat-footed on either side. When you're really starting out, when you're really a beginner, that does inspire a lot of confidence and allows you to learn a little bit more easily with a little bit more confidence.
With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the adventure touring bike.
Adventure touring, okay. For a beginner, I'm gonna go with the Honda CRF 300L or RL. What I enjoy about this bike is it's very, very approachable. Again, dead reliable for an adventure bike. It is not the lightest in the category, but it's light enough. It doesn't have the best suspension in the category, but it's good enough. It doesn't have the best brakes in the category, but it's good enough. It's a great all-rounder in terms of reliability, in terms of performance, in terms of power, and in terms of being able to find aftermarket parts in terms of radiator guards, engine guards, saddlebags, all the sort of things that you're gonna want on an adventure bike. You're gonna be able to find those for a very reasonable price for the CRF 250L or RL. So it just does everything well. It'll get you out there in the dirt and on an adventure.
Yeah, I would imagine with the versatility that you were talking about with this is that when you're starting to ride, you don't necessarily know like specific situations yet that you're gonna find yourself in. And you might be trying a bunch of different things with your new bike and having something that's just good all around, not exceptional in one particular area. You can really figure out with something like that what you need for the next big purchase, a year or two down the line.
You made a really good point because I think what a lot of people do is they pick out the adventure bike that has the best power, or they pick out the adventure bike that has the most accessories and in terms of saddlebags and engine guards and all these things, or they pick out the bike that has the best suspension or is the best off-road. But on an adventure bike, you don't really want one of those models that is the best in that one category, because there's going to be compromises elsewhere. The Honda is going to be right there in the middle in every category. So you're not going to run out of, you're not going to fall short in any one area because you decided to go balls to the wall with power or luggage or something else.
Right. All right. So now if dirt isn't your thing, you
Yes.
want to start hitting the road, let's look at cruisers.
Okay. So I'm going to look at the Kawasaki 650. They make a few different versions of the Kawasaki 650. Any of them would be perfectly fine. What I like about it in particular is it's not something like a Honda Rebel 300. It's not, and also it's not, some huge Harley touring bike. It's a middle of the road, middle weight, and middle power that's going to allow you to do some real cruising without outgrowing the bike in the first 3 months. And that's what I see happen with a lot of guys who they buy a little Rebel 300 or a Rebel 500 or something that is really low on power, and everyone's like, oh yeah, just get the slowest, you just learn all your skills. And there is some truth to that. But what I think you're going to quickly realize, especially on a cruiser, just how quickly it gets old, like downshifting 3 gears just to pass someone going 45 miles an hour on a backcountry road. You really do want something with a little bit more power. The Vulcan's going to be great because it's inexpensive, it's reliable, parts are inexpensive. There's a ton of aftermarket support. You can make it look like a bobber, you can make it look like a touring bike, you can make it look like whatever you can imagine, really inexpensively, and it's going to last you a while. You're not going to feel like you're going to outgrow it in 3 weeks.
Yeah, what I've heard with those smaller bikes, like what you're saying, is that especially if somebody's commuting with it and you're riding it like every day for a month or two, you're going to pick up everything pretty quickly, and then you have to go through the hassle of selling it. You likely overpaid because it's the first bike you bought,
Tends to
and then
happen.
you're going to get slammed when you go to sell it on Marketplace.
Tends to
Which is
happen.
why you're suggesting going up to a 600.
Yeah, 650. But let us know in the comments if you got a better one in mind.
Oh, I
for a
already
starter
know
cruiser.
they're going to say Rebel because every cruiser, best under, they've always been like, oh, this Honda, you missed this, blah, 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 reliability.
No.
Got to go for more than just reliability.
Honda's
sometimes.
just paying them to say this. This isn't
That's it.
true. It's true.
Paid
This isn't
actors in
true.
the comments. This is for people who want to go a little bit more fast pace. We're going into sport bikes.
All right, yeah, there's some good options here, and I feel like in recent years there've been even more options than we had 10 or 15 years ago. It seems like 15 years ago there was a Kawasaki Ninja 250 and nothing else. And wouldn't you know, my best recommendation for a beginner sport bike is going to be the Kawasaki Ninja 400. Man, they've had the best starter bike forever, 250, 300, now it's the 400, and it just keeps getting better and better. And there's a reason why it's been a very popular sport bike, starter, beginner sport bike for the 3 decades or so that it's been around. And it's because it's reliable, it's because it's light, it's because it's easy to maintain, it's relatively inexpensive. Tons of great reasons to enjoy the Ninja 400. The other thing I'll say about that is it's not that the Ninja 400 is that much better than everything else. If you just look on paper at some of its competitors, you'll see it's in the mix with everything. But what I have found is that it does tend to be far more reliable than the others out there. So that's something to bear in mind, particularly with your first bike, particularly if you're getting into sport bikes and you plan to ride it for 6 months and you go to resell it. You don't want it to break on month 4 and you're getting ready to sell it and turns out it's broken down.
Right.
Seen more than my fair share of smaller beginner sport-ish bikes have blown motors or other more serious issues after just a very short period of time. So recommendation, strong, Ninja 400.
Something that stands out about this bike is it's not going to like punish you when you're on the road as
Yeah.
much of a sport bike, as much as a like typical sport bike that people think of. Just learn what you're capable of, learn the basics of riding before you keep having bad habits.
And that's just it. You mentioned being punished on the road, and what will punish you is just about any inline 4 sport bike. You don't want to start on one. You don't want to start on one. It's not wise, and anybody worth their salt is going to tell you just avoid any of the big four, inline four sport bikes, definitely take the time to learn how to ride properly. There's plenty of people out there who learn real bad habits when they start on the CBR 600s and the R6s and the Gixxer 600s. So recommend learning the right skill set on a smaller bike. Ninja 400 is a great one to choose.
Okay, so the next one we kind of lied about, because in the beginning I said we were picking one bike for each category.
Yes.
And here we are at touring motorcycles, and we have two options for you to choose from. Hit us with the first.
Yeah, they're actually going to be wildly different depending on the type of rider that you choose to be. The first one is going to be the Kawasaki Versys 650. What I love about this is the 650 that they've been using in the Versys, they've used in 3, 4, 5 other models at this point. So honestly, it's probably a lot more. But this motor has been around forever. It's known to be fairly reliable, fairly competent, very smooth. It makes decent power, great middle of the road motor. But they've really gone a long way in terms of refining the Versys. It's been, again, this model and this engine have been around for quite a while, and they've only continued to make it better and better. Very reasonably priced. Parts are very easy to find, and it's also very easy to work on, given that it's a Kawasaki. So that would, in my opinion, be the safe option. If you want something a little bit more on the edge, I'm going to go with the Harley Switchback. You should be able to find one on the used market for approximately the same as a Versys, depending on year, mileage, condition, those sorts of things. But that's going to give you the bags you're going to want, and in most cases, that's going to give you the look and power that you want without being so overwhelming like a typical full bagger touring bike is going to likely be.
Great. I like what the Versys, like you were saying, parts are easy to find, parts are cheap, and it's easy to work on.
Yes.
I feel like any beginner should kind of be wrenching on their own bike for at least the first little bit.
Just a little bit. Learn something.
And then moving to the Harley. I mean, great beginner Harley bike.
You can't fault people for wanting it. I mean, there's guys out there that they wouldn't be caught dead on Japanese bikes, and that's fine. I completely understand that philosophy. What's important to me, though, is value. And I think the Switchback is a great value. It is a great bike. And it's one that, if I wanted a nice tourist, one that would be in the lineup for myself, not just as a beginner bike, but just as a bike that I would want to take on some tours myself.
I feel like I don't hear much about the Switchback. Why would you go towards that versus some of the other Harley tours?
There'd be several things. One is price. The second would be weight. Switchback's going to be a little bit lighter than some of the others. So that's why I would more so lean towards the Switchback. I also don't think it was ever nearly as possible as many of the other bikes in the Harley lineup. So oftentimes that does give you the opportunity, depending on your market, to get a better deal.
All right, so that's the bike for each category. That's going to be great for any beginner.
Yes.
A lot of those, you can buy them new or you can buy them used. The models have been around for many, many years, so you can find a good deal, or you can just get one straight off the dealer's lot if that's your thing. But if there's anything you disagree with, if you've been riding for a little while and you have a better option, go ahead and drop a comment down below.
Thank you guys for watching the video. Get off the couch and go ride something.